Hello, we are here today with some amazing women who know all about Kickstarters, and that is what I'm going to be quizzing them about. If you haven't been to my channel before, my name is Emma Bennet. I'm a UK-based writer. I write contemporary romance and occasional children's picture book, but at the moment I'm attempting my first Regency romance. I'm also a writing instructor and a freelance developmental editor. If you haven't subscribed, why not? We have a lot of fun over here, so definitely make sure that you do. So my guests today are the amazing Sako, I managed to point in the right place, and Shannon. These amazing women have both had extremely successful Kickstarter campaigns. Shannon's hasn't quite finished yet, but Sako, I believe that yours has. So how about we just do a little introduction to you and your Kickstarter campaigns? Do you want to take it away, Sako?
About my Kickstarter campaign,
Thank you.
Let's see. I had a graphic novel that I had drawn over a decade, and I had just received the distribution rights, so I decided to go to print like I always wanted to. So awesome. I did like a pre-order kind of system for my Kickstarter.
Awesome. And Shannon?
Well, thank you for having me. I'm Shannon. I write under the pen name of S.C. Huston. I am the author of the Clash of Goddesses series, is YA Fantasy, but I'm doing my Kickstarter on a fantasy romance, which is called A Curse of Scales and Feathers. And it is ongoing. We're 9 days from the end. What day is this coming out, Emma?
That's a good question, too.
Okay, so I don't know if we'll still be going or not, but I am going
to 9 days.
Yeah. If it's past, if it's the end of July, because it ends on July 31st, if it's past that, then it will be on Indiegogo for about 2 weeks before I will take it down from the platforms. But yeah, so my fantasy romance is up there. I also have a YouTube channel under the name of S.C. Huston, where you can find content about my self-publishing and writing journey. Those videos are a few and far between. I'm doing more writing sprints, although I did just schedule a big live for August for newsletters, author newsletters, and I anticipate it being 2 to 3 hours long. So it will be long. It will be in depth. It's going to have lots of information. And this is useful for anybody who is, wants to be an author. You don't even have to be an author yet, but you want to have your work out there for consumption, whether you're trying to sell it or you're putting on Wattpad or whatever, and you want to build a reader base. It will be from that level all the way. If you already have subscribers, but you want new ways to try and find more subscribers, I will also talk about that as well. So that's going to be August 19th. So that should be upcoming here soon.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to that. That sounds really useful. So I've heard about Kickstarter for years. I think probably everybody has, with various things being funded through it. But it was only a few months ago that I actually started to hear about it in relation to books. And I believe, Shannon, you talked about this a little bit when you were speaking to Adrian on his channel a little while ago. You were saying that you'd looked into it, but nobody else had been doing books when you looked into it a few years ago. But now it just seems to kind of exploded. I know quite a few people have done it. So what was it that led to you both deciding to go down the Kickstarter route? Should we start with Shannon?
Okay, so in reference to what I said on Adrian's channel, I first looked at Kickstarter for books in 2013. That was the first time I went on there because I had just graduated with my master's in writing. I applied to be a college professor. I couldn't get a job because I had no experience. I was actually teaching creative writing classes at libraries at that time. And so I thought about publishing my own books, and I thought, well, I don't have money, so how can I get money? And I looked at Kickstarter then, but nobody was publishing books on Kickstarter at that time. And I didn't have an audience. It's really, I feel it's very important that you need to have some type of audience. It doesn't have to be huge, but you needed some type of audience who already is familiar with you and your work, who might want to support you and buy your work from you. So I think that's important. And I had no audience then. I didn't know anybody. My main thing was, back then it was, how can I write a book and do this as a living? And if I don't make money, if I have to put money up front, I didn't have money then, I couldn't do it. Now in a better position later in my life that we have some money and stuff, that I was able to get my first series out, which is the Clash of Goddesses series. But I'm still $4,000 in debt for editing and, other things that, I pay for ISBNs. There's so many little things that go into creating.
That's a lot. Yeah, it adds up.
Yeah. So, and then the marketing. And so I'm $4,000 in debt. And I was like, I don't, nobody wants to lose $4,000 anywhere. I do make money off my books, but not enough. I'm gonna be 80 years old before I break even with as much money as I'm making. So I thought, if I'm going to continue this, I'm going to publish books that have value. I need to find some way to do this where I'm not losing money up front, not this much money anyways. And so that was my main reason for Kickstarter. And as I was setting it all up and I was writing my story, because it's called your stories, what you put on your front page there, right. I realized, another good reason is it's a different way to reach an audience, because Amazon's getting saturated. I mean, everything's getting saturated. Even Kickstarter, the people are saying now Kickstarter's getting saturated too with books. But it's not to the level of Amazon yet.
Yeah. So like I said, I wanted to go to print for the graphic novel that I drew and had recently received distribution rights. I'm a graphic designer, so I did every step towards print production myself from the beginning. I even had a printer in mind. Comics Wellspring, by the by, are great folks and cheap AF. Everything was ready to go. I just needed to send the files.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, it obviously worked out really, really well for both of you. Like, ridiculous success stories. You hear so many people really, really struggling, and you guys have just you rocked it. What do you think were the main things that you did that led to your campaigns being so successful? Sako, do you want to start with this one?
I was going to say, she probably has something good to say about this, because, right, Sako, you had one that I backed that didn't make it, and then you changed your strategy.
Oh, okay.
Exactly.
Really cool.
I actually wrote about that. I had tried during the holiday season, where I offered the issues individually as well as in the omnibus. The timing was awful. So the omnibus was so popular, and my highest cost for the populace, which wasn't enough. So I wanted a slightly higher payout. When that failed in the long run, I enlisted some Kickstarter veterans to critique my pitch page, and they gave me some really great advice that I quickly implemented. I also marketed my new Kickstarter before it launched and posted every other day, which helped my numbers when I actually released it.
Awesome. And Shannon?
Could you ask the question one more time?
What particular things do you think that you did which led to your Kickstarter being so successful?
Two main things, and it kind of touches to what Sako talked about, is getting the word out there, which is part of having that audience. Now, I didn't probably get my word out there as much as I had wanted to, but I think it kind of falls in line with any of us who are just writing a book, whether we're going Kickstarter or if we know we're going to publish a book, you should start talking about your book with your audience well in advance of it coming out. That way you get your audience excited about the book. So I was already talking about my book. I've been talking about my book for over a year almost at this point. Yeah, I started it in June of last year. Right. And then so when I kept talking about to my audience there on YouTube, I talked about how I had marketing plan in place, but I wasn't going to share yet because I was terrified. I was terrified even on launch day that I was going to meet the goal. Oh. So I was like, I don't want to share this with anybody because what if I jinx it? But I was talking about it and I thought, okay, I just need to get it out there because I need people to know about it ahead of time. So I started about a week out. I start telling my audience about the Kickstarter. Again, the book I've been talking about for a while with my audience, my newsletter, and on YouTube, I was talking about my book for a while. So I talked about the book, the Kickstarter a week out. And then, of course, in conjunction with the AuthorTube Writing Conference, that was, that really helps. It helps if you have a good audience or a big size audience to market to. And then I would say the other thing that I feel was very successful about it, and I kind of felt this when I was putting it together, was, you want to have your page, like what Sako was talking about her page. I really can't remember what the differences were in your first page versus your second page, Sako. Maybe, I don't know if Emma, if you want her to talk about the differences, but I think the graphics are very important.
Right.
Visual aid.
Yeah.
And your entire pitch, like all the things about it. So even the wording is important, especially the people who don't want to watch your intro video. Your intro video also super important. Yeah. So, and tell the whole story, right? So in the sense that, like, what are your plans? What are you going to do with the money once you get it? And stuff like that. So I learned that, yeah, you need to have like a low cost option, but you need a high ticket item as well.
Right. Okay.
Which my first campaign lacked. So I decided to offer some sketches for $100 as my high ticket item. I felt like, oh, nobody's going to buy it. And, you know, I should pick something just in case they do buy it that I can do like super fast. And people bought into it. People wanted to throw money at the project. And the fact that they get a picture out of it is like icing on the cake, right? So give them the option of paying high, and they'll take it.
Yeah, it's like called the God tier. I was told the same thing. Have a tier that is you want to offer the value for it. Because I took a class with Russell Nolte and Monica Leonel, and they work off the 50-50 rule, which is that you whatever it costs for that tier, if it costs $100, you're giving them 50% more than that. So you're giving them 200% worth of material.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure your God tier is worth it. But they said you need to have it. You know, they suggested $1,000. I was like, I don't have anything that's worth $1,000 to give anyone. So I did find yeah. And then I dropped it down to $250, and that same thing. Sako. Nobody's going to get the $250, and I did. I've had someone who's got it. So yeah, and it's not anyone I know. So it's really interesting.
Brilliant.
There are stats about the intro video too. I don't remember what they are. Roughly, the Kickstarters who fail, like 80% of them or something like that. It's a really high percentage. Don't have an intro video.
Right.
Of the Kickstarters that fail that do have an intro video, or no, sorry, the other way. The Kickstarters that are successful, like it's a little bit of a lower, but still over 50%. Because like 60% of Kickstarters that are successful have an intro video. So the numbers are there. You should have an intro video.
Oh, awesome. I mean, you guys you've been so creative with some of the different options that you offer. I mean, you were making your own stickers, weren't you, when we were doing a live together, I think a couple of weeks ago, Sako, and you were there like designing stickers and things. Like, that's just so cool. I mean, obviously as a graphic designer, you have the ability to do that, which like I wouldn't, but you know, how do you come up with these different things?
I'm a graphic designer, so marketing collateral is kind of my MO. So stickers were one of the stretch goals, which I reached. So yeah, I had to come up with a sticker to go with the book. Awesome. And I'm really happy with how it turned out too.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, because you both hit the stretch goals, didn't you? Which I'm guessing means that you were completely awesome and vastly went over what the original target was. What about you, Shannon? Because there's so many different options that people can go for with you, aren't there?
Yeah, I have stickers for a stretch goal too, but it's at 4,000, and I don't think I'm going to hit 4,000. I mean, I guess I could be surprised, and I might, but I think I might hit 3,000 at this point by the end. But I think that's about where it's going to end up, is around 3,000.
You'd be surprised that last week. That last week I got like 50% of my goal. So
see, in the first week I hit 2,500 in my first week, but then since then, and now we're 9 days left. Since then, it has gone from 2,500 up to almost 2,900, back to 2,500, almost to 2,900, back to 2,500, and now we're almost at 2,900 again. And I have someone backing me every day. I have people backing me every day, but there are people who are, adjusting their. I guess it's getting closer to a time they're like, oh, I don't have the money for this, and they're, taking off like $30 what they originally intended or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, that is something that you gotta expect. Is the wiggle room when people start like rescinding their.
I didn't expect that. I expected people might, like cancel, but I didn't expect so many people to pull back on how much money they first. Yeah, I've only had like 2 people who have went up, but everybody else has gone down. And I'm like, well, why did you do that much to start with?
Why did you think it through?
Because they were excited about the project, and then they realized they couldn't afford it.
They really couldn't afford it. So other than that, I mean, I have my book. I have my backlist that I'm offering as part of my tiers. The one creative things I want to come up with something that I can make too. And so I'm making the candles. I actually have not made them yet, but I mean, I like to make things. I've made like soaps and things like that. So I don't think it's going to be an issue. And I've got all the stuff that I need to make it. It's just finding the time to sit down and do it, which I'm going to have to do. So.
But it's quite fiddly, candle making. I've done it before, and it is quite fiddly and potentially messy and time consuming. Like, really fun, but yeah.
But you gotta prioritize it because it's part of the part of the thing. Yeah. So I would do it no later than like a month after you fulfill. Like I would sit down and do the thing.
Well, I want to videotape myself doing it. I always thought I'd put that on my Kickstarter, on the Kickstarter. I thought I put that on there, but I think it's going to be after it's done. But it doesn't mean I can't have it on, because I'm going to make enough candles to be left over for the next book that comes out in the series.
Nice.
Yeah. Nice. Because one is dragons. One's going to be scented like dragon's blood. That's the scent for it. Nice. And then the other one is my female protagonist scent. So it's a dual pair that's given with each one. Well, the dragon's blood, I have 4 brothers, so that are dragon kings. So that will go for all of them. So I can make multiple of those. Yeah.
Cool.
So what are you using for the smell for dragon blood?
It's called dragon's blood. It's I don't remember off the top of my head. It's a mixture of different scents put together.
Yeah.
And it's well-known scent. So it wasn't like someone just like made it. It's not one person made it. I've seen it all over. And then when I mentioned it to someone the other day, oh yeah, no, dragon's blood, it's used for this, this, and this. And I'm like, oh, people use this already.
Yeah, it's basically like adding kerosene to an already burning fire, magic-wise. So like dragon's blood is the bee's knees.
Fair enough. I have not heard of it.
And then I have a mermaid one for my next book, because I have a mermaid in my next book. So.
So that kind of leads me to my next question, which is, would either of you do a Kickstarter again?
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm thinking of doing a mass order for my tarot deck. So I would recommend having all of your content done before you do the Kickstarter for it. Because using the end as a deadline is a surefire way to fail.
Well, it's not only that, but there are people who, if you say, "Oh, the book's half written" or whatever, I mean, I've seen people put on their Kickstarter, "The book's not written yet." Well, people don't want to back that because they don't know if you're written. Like I put as part of my story in my risk section. I don't see any issues. The book is already written. I've already written 3 books and published 4, so this is not going to be new for me. You know, so I talked about my reputation with completing projects and getting them done.
Sure. Yeah. Sure. So Shannon, would you do it again? Because I know with the AWC as well. I mean, I know it was crazy for you.
Well, here's the thing. They say you should give yourself 3 to 4 months to plan and do everything, right? To put everything together. And I had 6 weeks. Not only that, I was going through the course at the same exact time, setting it all up and trying to get ready for the AWC. And of course, I'm kind of a perfectionist, and I want the page to look just right. So I kept doing it over and over and over again. And so I did it again. Yeah. And I think, you know, and even my husband, he's like, "So you're not going to do it during the AWC again next year, will you?" And I was like, "Well, I don't know, but it's not going to stop me because of what happened this year. You know, I'm not going to be going through a class and trying to do it at the same time. And I've already done it. So I already have an idea and I have a good setup. I'm probably going to set my next book up almost exactly the same way because it's the same series. I want to keep everything kind of the same. So, and I'm doing it for the rest of the series. This series will always be on Kickstarter before I move it to retailer platform.
Nice.
Sure. But you've got to remember, like from your husband's point of view, he was the one manically trying to find T-shirts for you. You were so busy, like frantically running around the house searching for T-shirts.
I couldn't find my AWC T-shirt. And it was like the day before, and I was like, I don't know. I had just stacks of laundry, and they were all clean. I just didn't have them in drawers. And he was going through my drawers. I'm like, no, it's not in a drawer because I haven't put anything away in 3 months.
And then he found it, and it was so sweet because you were like so emotional by this point. It was like, my husband is the most amazing man in the whole world. I love him so much. He found my T-shirt. It's all I needed in this world was my T-shirt.
Yeah, he was awesome.
He did good. He did good that day, didn't he?
Yeah.
No. So we were chatting before we started recording about the fact that Shannon would really like to quiz Sako a little bit about the fulfillment element of of a Kickstarter campaign, because that's something that, of course, you haven't got to yet because your campaign is still live. Obviously, like, all links and things will be down in the description below, guys, so that you'll be able to support Shannon, and you'll be able to check out Sako's work and everything as well. So don't worry about that. Anyway, so Shannon, why don't you take it away, and you can interview Sako and ask her whatever you'd like.
I'd love to. So yes, I definitely want the opportunity to ask Sako, because I have heard from everybody that the fulfillment is the hardest part of the campaign. And I thought, well, geez, the beginning was really hard. So, okay, first I want to know, what was that first feeling when the campaign was over before moving into fulfillment? What was that feeling?
Elation.
Yes, I bet.
Elation. I celebrated. It was because I was at Balticon when it happened.
Oh.
And so we threw a room party, and
nice.
Like, it's a writer's con, so like
Yeah.
people were like hype about the project and like putting me over into the stretch goals and stuff like that during the con. So yeah, it was really.
So you took advantage of a conference too.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what is the first thing you did when you started your fulfillment process?
I got a hold of my printer, and I learned that they offer fulfillment themselves.
Oh, nice.
So what's going to happen is there's a handful of people who wanted signatures, so they're sending me the books so I can signature them. I will ship them out myself, and then the rest of them who didn't get that, the printer is actually fulfilling everything. So they offer the packaging, they offer the labels, and ship it all out in my stead.
And I would say, for those who don't understand what that means, when the printer will fulfill for you, it's a much lower cost that they fulfill for you. If they have that ability, it's a lower cost than you getting it and sending it out yourself. Much, much lower.
It depends.
I mean,
I am super lucky about Comics Wellspring, because it's like 25 cents a book. I was not mad, so I'm hoping that I still have enough money left over to handle the total bill for the fulfillment.
But like for books, for instance, like there is a printing press over in Australia for Ingram Spark, so I can just order it from Ingram Spark's factory or whatever you call that there and ship it. It's gonna cost me like $14 versus me have it shipped from here, the US, where it costs like $30-some.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah, my printer is in Michigan, so I don't know if it's cheaper to ship out of Michigan, or they gave me like a frame for the shipping, and I included shipping in
and you said they're packaging it all up and they're doing the labels. All that stuff is extra money you have to calculate in if you're doing the shipping yourself.
Oh yeah.
Again, you usually save money if you're doing it from. If the printer can ship it, you're saving money like on and those little things, they do add up because they take from your bottom line. So.
It was assured to me that me shipping out the signature, the signed books would be better, because than me sending them back to the printer for them to ship out, because A, it would be cheaper, and B, because less damage of the goods.
Yeah.
So like,
is it considered media mail? Are comic books considered media mail?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, because in the US there is a set fee. Anything that's media mail is just one set fee is all you're paying for a book. So whether your book is like huge or if it's little, you pay just, and I think it's like $3.87 right now for us.
Oh,
it used to be $4.35, but it went down. But I mean, it does go by weight. So the more weight you have, it does go up a little bit. It's one set price as long as you're shipping within the US. Then outside the US is different.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. My average was like $6 a head, you know.
So what has been the most difficult so far in the fulfillment process?
In the fulfillment process was figuring out how to handle the signatures and the stickers and the thank you notes. So instead of shipping my thank you notes to the printer to put it in the packages, I'm just going to ship them out after the recipient actually receives the book.
Right.
Yeah, I've seen that. From my perspective, if someone's getting a book and character art, well, I'll send the book from the printer, and then the character art they get separately.
Okay.
So that's what I usually see. Most of
Yeah,
people
the sketches will go
go
separately.
separately.
I've got the
But
packaging for that.
I've seen like there's this one group of ladies. I think they're all ladies. There's 6 of them. They all write their own style of books, but they choose one world, one theme each time they do this. And they've done several of these Kickstarter campaigns. So like,
That's really cool.
They're all romance, but one is like a sapphic romance, and another one is like urban fantasy romance. And so they all do different types of romance, but they're all in the same world, so that it feels cohesive in some way. But I see it where they have boxes, and they put everything in a box and they ship that to whoever wins. But every single time they do a campaign, they get thousands and thousands of dollars from the campaign. I'm like, that's probably the only way you can ship everything in one go all together.
You need to have a platform before you even start to try.
Yeah.
Before you even think about Kickstarter, Kickstarter is just the facilitator regarding presenting what it is you're selling. If you don't have anyone to sell it to, like you don't have a platform already, then
there are a couple of ways to get organic traffic on Kickstarter, but I don't know if you got it or not, but the Project We Love sticker, like, because I got awarded the Project We Love, so now you actually end up on your own category on Kickstarter under Project We Love. And so if someone says, hey, I want to search for Project We Love projects, you're on that page now. So that's some organic traffic that way.
Or people that were looking specifically for graphic novels, right? On Kickstarter, I had a lot of organic. People searching on Kickstarter.
I reckon there would be people looking more for graphic novels in particular than any other sort of writing.
Maybe.
Yeah, I can imagine people searching for those.
Russell has said that a few times because he does graphic novels and books, and he says the audience is bigger for graphic novels on the platform than it is for books. But I've had a few people who found me, like the one who backed me at $250, like he reached out to me first and he was like, hey, I just came across your Kickstarter campaign. I was looking for something like this. He says, it sounds really good. He reached out to me because for some reason I left off shipping to the United States on my $250 here. And
whoops.
Yeah. He was like, I'd really like to get this because it's what I'm looking for, but I can't ship it. It won't ship to me. And I'm like, oh. So I wrote back, I thanked him so much for bringing it to my attention. I thanked him for his patience. I figured I lost him as a sale. But I fixed it, and I told him it was done, and then the next day he did get it. So I was like, okay. Yeah.
Man,
you make mistakes.
Yeah, it's super.
Everybody makes mistakes, and there's so much to think about, especially when it's your first time doing it.
And then I did 8, 9 tiers. How many tiers did you have? You had fewer, didn't you, Sako? You had like 3
or 4.
4. I thought maybe you had 5, but I couldn't really remember.
I had 5 for like my last one.
Oh, okay.
But my first one.
The first one. Maybe that's what I remember. Yeah. I mean, if I could at all give any advice, if you're able to start with something small and do something with only a couple tiers, but again, you have to have an audience. So it's not like, oh, I want to start with something small, but maybe I can get an audience. So I think you're going to get an audience that way. And physical products sell better than only digital campaigns. There are only digital campaigns, but very few of them get backed. You want to make sure that you have some type of digital product. So something that I see a lot in the book writing space are omnibuses or special edition omnibuses. Okay. That's a lot of what I see. So these books, and I think people like that too, because all the books have already been written. So all they're waiting for is a special edition. So, and then part of the Kickstarter campaign, I mean, I saw one that was so easy where level 1, they had 3 tiers. Level 1 was the ebooks. Level 2 were the paperbacks. Level 3 was the omnibus.
Yeah. That's how I originally did it. But nobody wanted level 2.
The paperbacks, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So the hardcover was the stretch goal, and it never made it that far.
One of the worst Kickstarters that do the poorest are audiobooks.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Do not do a Kickstarter for an audiobook. You can have it as a stretch goal. That's what's suggested by many people.
That's stretch goal, yeah.
Stretch goal. So Rachel Morley, she's in the AuthorTube community. I've backed her on her audiobook, but you know, I know she's not made it yet there. And I think hers is almost done. Of course, that last week the last few days, you do tend to get a bunch of people who back. So I'm hoping that it does get there, but hers is on an audiobook. And I was just like, and I didn't know her before, or I would have said something of all the advice that's been given to me is that audiobooks are not, and everything I've ever seen on audiobooks on there, they haven't met their goals, that the ones I've seen.
But why is that?
Well,
do people just like to have a physical thing?
It's not a physical product, and then not everyone consumes books in audiobook format.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. No, that's some very useful advice. Thank you. Okay, so I had one final question for you before we finish, and that is to both of you. Was there a point where during your campaigns that you either thought, I wish I hadn't done this, or that you really didn't think that you would meet your goal and that it was just gonna go? Who wants to start? Should we go with Shannon this time? I think we started with Sako last time, didn't we?
Sure. There was never a point where I said, I wish I hadn't done this. I had some doubts. And I think my biggest doubt came on the second day, because at the end of the first day, I had $755. My goal was $1,000, which, for those who don't know, if you don't hit your goal, you don't get any of the money.
Yeah.
And so I remember thinking, okay, that's okay. 750 first day. Yeah, this is going to be great. And the AuthorTube Writing Conference starts tomorrow. I should be able to hit my goal. The next day, AuthorTube Writing Conference happened. And by the end of the day, I had $756, $1 more than the day before. Yeah. And I was like, this wasn't worth all the time I put into doing it right now to have them overlap. I was like, this wasn't worth doing it at the same time. I should have waited to do it, because this wasn't worth it. And then I do remember, for a quick thought, and I, you know, I had it in the back of my head, I know that, you know, you start high, you go low through the rest of your campaign, and then you end high. That's the graph that they see.
Right, okay.
Over and over again. They see the same graph for those that are successful. So I was like, I'll get there. I mean, I'm 75% of the way there. I should get there by the end. But there was a moment where I thought, what if I don't make it? I have spent hours upon countless hours, not sleeping at my desk to get this set up. And I was like, all that time, that's like, you know, thinking about how you write the books that you really love, and you put them out there and no one buys it. You're like, all that time you spent, all the labor of love you put into it, and nobody wants it.
Yeah.
You know? There was that moment that was there for a moment. So
yeah, that's the dark, spooky brain gremlin that affects you when you hit the middle of day 2 to the middle of the month. That sagging middle, I strongly recommend continuing to market during the middle. I know a lot of people seem to like lose steam after the first week or so, but my consistency kept backers consistently, like, you know, backing me. So
the same. I consistently send out updates on Mondays and Thursdays throughout the entire campaign. And I think it's what's helped to make sure that I keep having backers every day. Even though I keep going up and down on my money because people are changing, I am having new backers every day. So
yeah,
I would agree with that.
Yeah. But there wasn't a point, Sako, that you thought, oh my goodness, why am I doing this? This is so stupid. I shouldn't be bothering.
Never. I don't believe in failure. I believe in opportunities to grow and to learn. So I learned so much from that first campaign that I knew what kind of changes I needed to make in order to succeed.
Yeah, that's amazing. I just think there's just so much to learn, isn't there, before doing it. Like, Shannon, I know that you actually took a course, didn't you, to be able to kind of set yourself up ready for it, because it's completely unknown. I think even if you have backed some people and you know a little bit about it, I mean, just what you guys have shared in this.
They actually walk you through putting your pitch together. Kickstarter does. So I didn't take a course for it, but I have a basic marketing background and basic graphic design background. So I can, you know, kind of hash together my own plan. and the plans of, or the implementing the advice from my veterans, which was super, super useful.
Yeah.
Oh my
There's
God.
a lot more than just the marketing and stuff like that, because from the program, I also got like access to spread Excel sheets to figure out all my tiers and what my percentage would be, because not only should you have 50% extra given value, that's like a 200% basically, but it's 50% more. You also want to make sure that you're making at least 50% profit on every tier. So there's a lot that they walk you through on that. They also
At least
give a lot of different ideas on what you can do. And
don't forget to pay yourself.
Yeah. I mean, all that's calculated in there. And then, it also reminds you there's Kickstarter fees, there's credit card fees. These are all these fees. And that's all built into that one spreadsheet. Then there's another spreadsheet that helps you to set up like all your email marketing and the different types of things you say. So, I mean, I got a lot of good information from the course, more than just the marketing or setting up the page. I don't remember, did Kickstarter talk about keywords and stuff like that? The SEO? Yeah. Because I know I got the most out of that from Russell when he did his, because Monica and him, they did different classes in the course.
Cool.
So,
I mean, I guess it's in Kickstarter's own interest to provide as much information as they can to help you, isn't it? Because obviously they want you to succeed, because presumably they don't get any fee if you don't succeed.
Right.
I guess. So.
Right. Yeah. If it fails, then like there's, for me, there would have been no loss, because I waited until I was completely fulfilled before I started making purchases.
Sure.
So I made sure I had the starter capital to begin with, and then and the first time, because it washed out, I knew what kind of changes to make so that it didn't wash out again.
Yeah.
The only loss really at that point comes in your time, and if you've got
But I had done all the work for the thing the first time, so
you already had it done. Yeah.
I already had it done.
Yeah.
So I just had to tweak it a little bit and try again.
So stats from the Kickstarter page, only 40.78% campaigns are successful.
Really?
Less than 50%. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, so you're definitely, I mean, it's not really taking a chance if you do your research and if you have a good product, I guess, but there is always, you might just do it at the wrong time of year, or
yes.
I just found out today. Found out today, August is the best time to do a campaign. They have found from research that August is the best time to do it. I'm like, really?
I did it as a birthday during the month of May, like welcome to spring sort of sale.
And I did mine in conjunction with the AuthorTube Writing Conference, but now I'm like, wonder if I should have done it in August instead. No.
Yeah. Because people are ready to spend money.
Well, they say too, it's the end of the year budgets and people need to spend and things like that. Something like that.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Oh, well, guys, thank you so much for joining me for this. This has been really, really cool. And I hope that some of the information that has come across is useful to some people watching. Yeah, just absolutely amazing. You guys just rocked it completely. As you say, less than 50% usually fulfilled. Absolutely amazing. So, yeah, thank you so much for sharing your stories.
Thanks for having us on.
Thanks.
There's no problem. It's always lovely to have you girls on my channel. Well, thank you everybody who's been watching this. I really hope that you've got some value out of it. And like I say, all the links will be down in the description if you want to check out Shannon's Kickstarter, which will still be live when this goes out. And I'm sure that Sako will be able to give me some links so that you can check out her stuff as well. Have an awesome rest of your day. And I will hopefully see you again on my channel very soon. Bye for now.